to Live and Breathe Horses, and today we are going on with our latest Words of Wisdom series from Tom Dorrance, More Than a Horseman. And it's a wonderful collection of stories which I feel very honoured to be able to share. So today's story is from Mike Beck. I was just a teenage boy when I first met Tom Dorrance. I had a job at Roy and Andre, I hope it's Andre, for Zanny's horse facility. Hidden Hills Stables, it was called, in Carmel Valley, California. My duties there consisted of cleaning some stalls, sweeping up, feeding, whatever to be helpful. And Roy and Andre were nice enough to get me a few horses to ride, and I could make a little money there too. I was in heaven. Tom seemed to have taken a liking to Roy and was there often helping Roy with the horses. And Margaret and Andre are still friends to this day. Hidden Hills Stables had fast become my new home, and when Roy invited me to their annual Christmas party, I got pretty excited, knowing there'd be lots of good food and good people there celebrating the holidays. While I was walking through the stables on my way to the Christmas party, there was a girl there named Liz Gibson, and she was combing out her thoroughbred mare's tail and visiting with a man there while she was grooming away. She introduced me to him. His name was Tom Dorrance. We shook hands and he said a few words, then walked off towards the party. As he left, Liz said to me, "That man there could possibly be the greatest horseman in the world." I thought to myself, him? Where's his cowboy hat and boots? Why isn't he wearing some kind of trophy buckle or something? For Tom was wearing slacks and a sports coat and lace-up shiny black shoes and no cowboy hat. You see, I was pretty young and dumb back then, and it was the beginning of me starting to see the world in a different way. Through the years, I got to be around Tom now and then, and it was always a time I will treasure. When Margaret asked me to write something down of my experiences with Tom, lots of things came to mind. Catching a hind foot on a troubled horse, laying a horse down, riding some of those thoroughbreds fresh off the track that were going to be hunter jumpers through the hills with Tom was so fun. Those horses had never been up or down anything steeper than a ramp on a horse trailer. They'd never been outside much, and a leaf would fall off a tree and they'd jump sideways and grab themselves, and Tom would laugh. Man, it was fun. We'd breeze those horses out, up and down those long dirt roads in Hidden Hills. Those were good times and great experiences for me. I remember riding a horse up to the arena at Hidden Hills, and Margaret was standing up in a mounting block and her horse was saddled, and there was this long piece of nylon cord tied to the macati, about 20 feet, and Tom was there afoot with that cord in his hand. They both smiled and said good morning as I rode by. When I got up to the arena to ride with Roy, I asked him, "What's Tom doing down there with that nylon cord?" And Roy replied, "Oh, that's just Tom. He's always up to something." And he was, always exploring, seeing if there was some better way to get something done, a better way to fit the situation at hand, with the horses and cattle coming out the winners. There's so much I could go on and on about, but I want to share this story with you the best I can. And it kind of deals with the part of Tom that I experienced a few times with him and a horse under me. I call it his intuition, for lack of a better word. Now I make my living with music, and I do travel some and help people with horses. At the time, I was barely getting by, and I was bothered that even though when I went to somewhere to help some people with their horses, everyone was pretty satisfied with what I had to share with them, and the horses made a big change for the better. I was getting very few calls for more work, and I was pretty broke financially. Then I'd open up one of those horse magazines and get plumb depressed, seeing all these guys selling themselves and their wares for fixing horses while wearing shirts that had more sponsors' names on it than a NASCAR driver. I thought to myself, is this what you have to do to make a living with the horse? I want no part of any of that. This is not where I'm coming from. And they all looked so successful, and here I was starving. All these thoughts were going through my head while I was driving up to visit Tom and Margaret at their home on Mount Toro. It was the time when Tom was getting close to moving on from this world, and I would try and go and see him as often as I could. When I got there that day, Margaret said, "I'm glad you're here. I have to go into town for a few things. I don't want to scare you, but here's the phone number and this phone number just in case something happens." And she went out the door. Now, I believe Tom had had a stroke or two by then, and I know he couldn't see much anymore. Margaret was not even out the driveway yet when Tom says to me, and mind you, I said nothing about those troubled thoughts going through my head on the way here, "Mike, go into the next room. There's a picture hanging on the wall on the right. Take it down and bring it here." I did as he asked. The framed picture was of Tom, a horse, and a young girl around 15 years old. Tom was sitting on a swivel chair that he put together that had his water bottle rigged to it. Tom liked to bring this to sit on when he was helping people. His hands were in a position of a gesture like I'd seen when he was explaining something. The girl was sitting cross-legged on the ground with English riding boots on, facing Tom with a contented look on her face. The saddled horse, with a braided mane and wearing a halter, had its head softly lowered between Tom and the girl. I assumed this was her horse, and Tom had been helping her and her horse. Everything in the picture looked good. Tom said to me, "You see that girl's face, the look on it?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You see the expression on that horse?" Once again, I said, "Yes." Then Tom said, "Well, that about says it all for me." There was a pause, and then he said, as if we were on to something else, "Well, how's Mike?" I was stunned. How did Tom know that was exactly what I needed to hear that day? The picture was all about harmony, unity, and togetherness. He was right. It did say it all. On my way home that day, I asked for only the right people and their horses to come into my life. And you know, it's just been great. It's just been that way. The adventure had been amazing, and it's still a work in progress, and I'm so thankful for so much. But I've often thought, how did Tom know that was just what I needed to hear? But he did, and that was Tom. And that's just one of so many things that I'll be grateful he shared with me. That was the last time I saw him. So another wonderful story. I love that. It's all about the horse's expression. That's the thing that matters when all's said and done. Oh, and the person. So thank you for joining me today. Keep on tuning into the light, and I look forward to see you next time.